On today's podcast, we give 2025 housing market predictions, expectations, and what to expect if you are facing foreclosure in this new year. Hey, what's up, Foreclosure Fix family, and welcome to another episode of the Foreclosure Fix podcast, where our goal is to help 1 million homeowners successfully navigate foreclosure. Now, if that mission resonates with you, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and share our content with someone who you know can benefit, or better yet, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on that algorithm. It definitely helps us get to the people who need this message. I am fired up and ready to go in this new year. If this is your first time joining us on the podcast, welcome. If you are a longtime listener, thank you for coming back, as this is our first podcast episode of 2025. As I told you before, we were on a weekly cadence, and now we're moving to more of a monthly cadence, just because I want to get you the most content in the most digestible sizes. And I think doing it monthly allows us the opportunity to get not only better guests, but also gives me time in my schedule to give you all the updates I need to give you in one single episode versus giving you bits and pieces throughout the month. So on today's podcast, what are we talking about? What's going on? We're talking about everything 2025. We're talking about what to expect in the housing market, how to move forward if you're facing foreclosure in this new year, and what things are changing out there. I want you to be aware of what's going on in the marketplace, and that is what we're all about here at the Foreclosure Fix. So first things first, I want to say my heart and prayers go out to the folks in California who are facing the devastation of fires. It is just very, very terrible what's going on there. I know there's lots of finger pointing and blaming on government administration, on, what should have been done, what was not done. But at the end of the day, we have people who have lost their lives, and we have people who have lost their homes. And so please, please, please keep the folks in California during this season in your thoughts and your prayers, and make sure that if you are in that region and you're facing foreclosure, that you don't get caught with scams that are going on. There are numerous scams going on right now that are targeting those people who may have lost their house. And it's not just people in foreclosure, but it's those people in general who have just lost their home. There are scams going on where people are calling, trying to tell you like, hey, you need to fill this out. You need to do this. Everybody pause, everybody wait, and just don't let the moment, the frustration you have in the moment, the fear you have in the moment, the absolute awe you have in that moment make you make a bad decision. So please be mindful of scammers. Please contact your insurance company directly. I know the state of California has put stuff on their website. Your insurance company will have stuff on their website, but just please make sure you don't get scammed, because scammers always like to show up when people are most vulnerable. And you're most vulnerable when you are in a situation that you never expected and you are caught off guard, which so many people in California have been caught off guard. And I think the whole United States is caught off guard by what is happening there. So please, y'all do me a favor. Make sure you send a prayer up to our Heavenly Father for, the folks in California. And if you are in California and you're facing foreclosure, definitely communicate with your servicer and your lender, so that way they know exactly what's going on, and our prayers go out to you. The next thing I'm going to say is it's January, and you know how it is every year in January, people start that goal thing. Yes, I say that goal thing because, some people write the goals down before the new year, but then don't look at them again until December, 2025. And if you're one of those people who have goals for this new year, your goal may be to change your financial situation. It may be to get out of debt. It may be to get out of foreclosure. I commend you. Because the first step in any goal and the first step in getting any type of change is mentally making that mindset of, I am going to do this. When we talk about how to get out of foreclosure, one of the big things we say is that you need to take ownership of that situation. You need to accept the fact you're in foreclosure and then own the fact that it's up to you to solve it. You can get the help of other people, but it's up to you to solve that foreclosure situation. And so if you have made a goal to get out of foreclosure this year, or you've made any goal, I commend you. Now, the thing is you don't want that goal just to stay on paper. You don't want that goal just to stay on that sheet. You want to actually take action towards that goal. So the next question I'm going to ask you is, one, since you wrote down that goal, Have you made any progress? Have you done anything to achieve that goal? Have you done anything to get out of foreclosure? And the next question is, what is the next viable thing you can do to help you accomplish that goal? Is it picking up the phone and calling a loan servicer? Is it looking for financial assistance? Is it telling your family that you may be facing foreclosure? Is it thinking through the options you have available? Is it getting a copy of the Foreclosure Fix book? Shameless plug. But whatever you can do as a next step to help you get to a better spot, I want you to do that. I don't want you to be one of those people who makes goals and then looks at them next year and say, oh, I didn't make that, or I would have made that if I just would have knew that was my goal, or just land somewhere. I want you to be diligent. I want you to be systematic. I want you to be strategic in the way you're approaching your goals and the way you are trying to get out of foreclosure and change your financial future. That is so important for you in this season. And if you have made goals, I am wishing you the best of luck to achieve those goals. But luck is not good enough. You want to take action, and you need to say, what is the next step I can take? What is the next thing I can do to get out of my foreclosure situation? A couple other things going on in the market when I think about like mindset, right? I'm just looking at my notes here. When you think about the mindset of somebody facing foreclosure, we talk about this a lot, is what is the mindset of somebody who may be going through foreclosure? You have that fear, you have that trepidation that you don't know what's next. You don't know how you're going to get the money to solve the foreclosure situation. You are worried, you are afraid. But the best thing you can do is make that phone call to your servicer, to your lender. And the reason I say that is because I literally had a call today with a homeowner who recently got a package saying, we know you're facing foreclosure. You haven't paid on your loan in over 7 years. So this is not something where it's like, oh, it's just been a few months. This person had not paid on their loan in 7 years. They called up and said, hey, I know I got back taxes. I kind of got behind. I didn't know who to pay. I'm in a better spot. I can afford to pay $500 a month, right? And so exactly that is what they brought to the table. They said, I can afford to pay this per month. And guess what? The lender now has something to work with. Now, will they accept that $500 a month? I don't know. But you coming to the table with a solution is much better than you just throwing your hands up and saying, oh, just take my house, right? It's much better than you just saying, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't pay at all. I can't reinstate. You have to go out there and try to bring a solution to the table. Say, I can pay this much a month. I can put this much down and pay this much a month. I can put $1,000 down, within the next week, and then I can pay $200 a month. Putting down and talking about what you can do is better than just being in la la land, hoping that someone is going to give you a break, hoping that someone's going to come in and save the day. It does not work like that, y'all. And what I'll tell you as I talk about 2025 forecast, what I can tell you, if I'm looking at the market and I'm reading the tea leaves, I would tell you in 2025, we will have more foreclosure starts than we did in 2024. So listen to what I'm telling you. A foreclosure start is when a bank says, I'm going to take this from being just a delinquent file to actually initiating legal, calling the attorney and telling them to start the foreclosure process. That is called a foreclosure start. I am telling you right now, if I have a crystal ball and I'm predicting, we will have more foreclosure starts in 2025 than we did in 2024. So if you're delinquent and you're thinking like, oh, you still have more time to play around, I'm pretty confident that the banks will be starting foreclosure on more properties in 2025, especially given the new administration that we have coming in. I think we will see some easing of some regulations, and I'm not being partisan. I am just telling you what I think based off my experience in this business. And so if you think that you're playing around and you're just like waiting for the bank to, wake up, they're going to wake up in 2025. And so you need to figure out what's going on. The other thing I'll tell you is that when we look at the foreclosure inventory, as we look at the loans coming down the pipeline that are non-performing, that means that they haven't made a payment in over 120 days. They're considered non-performing. I see more inventory coming to market right now than I have in a very long time. The market is being kind of flush with inventory. So what does that mean? It means that The people who hold these loans, the hedge funds, the institutions, the banks that hold these funds are selling these funds off. And then what happens when they sell, they're selling them to smaller hedge funds who are then going to work these files. And by working these files, they're going to start reporting to your credit. If they're not reporting to your credit, they're going to start calling your phone and telling you, hey, you have to pay. And more importantly than that, they're going to start calling the attorney and telling the attorney to start that foreclosure process. So in 2025, expect for banks to ramp up their activity around the foreclosure process. And so if you are in that weird space of delinquency where you pay every 60 days or you pay every 90 days, or you have a big arrears balance that you haven't addressed, or that arrears is not deferred to the end of your loan, you need to make sure that you are looking into this stuff and that you have a solid plan moving forward. That helter-skelter payment plan that you made up won't work. You need something concrete. And so please keep in mind, I don't want you to be in a situation where you lose your house because you thought that you were good, or the bank in the past did it this way, now they're doing it a different way. If you are not paying per the agreed mortgage and note or modification that you have, you need to make sure you have something in place that locks in your payment for the foreseeable future. And if you haven't made a payment, you need to be prepared to know that they're going to expect you to start paying. And so that is my big prediction for the foreclosure side of the real estate market in 2025. What I can tell you about just the general residential real estate market, I think we're going to be relatively flat. I think we will see some price appreciation in certain markets and some price dips in certain markets. But across the board as a nation, I think that we'll probably see less than 1% overall increase in property values. I do think rents will kind of stabilize a little bit this year. They were a little soft in 2024. I think we're going to continue that trend. I'm not saying they're going to get softer and lower, but I think that they will stabilize and remain around the same. I don't think we'll see big rent upticks this year just because there's so much inventory coming on the market. Speaking of rent, if you have been a homeowner a long time and you have not rented in numerous years or months or things like that, you need to realize rent rates are significantly higher than where they were when you probably bought your house. So if you have a mortgage in today's environment, it may be cheaper to keep your mortgage on your house than it is to go rent an apartment. So if you're looking at cashing in, if you're looking at selling, if you're looking at doing all those things, make sure you are factoring that into your equation when you are doing the math on what is the best move for you to make in this current environment. So I've talked about the housing market in general. I've talked about where I think the foreclosure market's going. Let me talk to you about what all this means for you as a homeowner who may be facing foreclosure. And what I mean by what all this means for you as a homeowner facing foreclosure, it is how do you operate in 2025 around the foreclosure side? One, time is your enemy. You are on the clock. Time is not your friend right now. So if you're delinquent, if you got past due balances, if you're in a situation where you have more month than you have margin, that you haven't paid in a long time, you got to figure something out. Listen to what I'm telling you. If you are in a situation where you just don't have it, it's not working out, the math ain't mathing, you got to figure something out. You got to get help. You got to get a second job. You got to figure something out. The bank this year will not be playing games. I'm just letting you know. So don't be surprised when they come a knocking. You can say DJ told you so, but the banks are not playing games this year. There are liquidity squeezes go all around. The stock market soared in 2024. I don't think it's going to soar in 2025. And these are my predictions, y'all. So don't take this as fact. Don't take this as gospel. I'm giving you my crystal ball predictions, but the 2025 market will not look like the 2024 market in the stock market. I think that the stock market may be up single digit percents and low single digit percents. I'm anticipating that the stock market may be up less than 5%. In all honesty, I think it's going to be relatively flat for 2025 because it's been roaring. And again, I hope it goes up. Us having a robust stock market is great for many people's retirement accounts and bank accounts. But if I'm just predicting, I think we're going to be relatively flat in 2025 on the stock market side. The other thing I can tell you, if you're a homeowner facing foreclosure, in addition to time not being on your side and time being your enemy in this current current environment. The other thing I want to tell you is that you have to get decisive. You have to go ahead and make a decision if you're going to keep your house or sell your house. And if you don't make the decision soon and you don't do what you need to do, you're going to find yourself in a very awkward and strange and challenging predicament. If you are a homeowner facing foreclosure, what do you need to do in 2025? One, you need to make a decision. Keep my house or sell my house. Number two, you need to take decisive action. If you're going to sell your house, you need to go ahead and start making those moves right now. Historically, in the real estate market, the summer, springtime is the best time to sell a house. You're going to get the most for your house in that time frame. And so now you need to be preparing. I literally put a house on the market today. And guess what? I've had multiple showings and I'm expecting multiple offers. We are only in the second week of January, folks. The market is back. So if you had something on the market in December and November and it's stale, take it off the market. Let it chill for a couple weeks. I had to do that with a couple of my listings and now they're back on the market and people are showing up. They're knocking on the door and trying to buy houses. So please keep that in mind, y'all. If you are looking to sell your house, you want to start doing the things you need to do. Don't wait till November or December of 2025 to say, oh, now I got to sell. Don't wait until the bank puts the foreclosure notice on your door and says you got 90 days before the foreclosure sale to sell. Sell now while you still have time. I'm telling you, the vultures will be out. The real estate vultures, those investors, those pesky people who want to give you the lowest lowball offers that you can imagine, they will be out once they know you're facing foreclosure. Don't wait that long. Get on it right now. Don't delay. All right. So those are the things I need you to do if you're a homeowner facing foreclosure in 2025. With that, that leads me to my favorite part of the podcast, which is our bow tie round. Our bow tie round is where you, our listeners, get to tie one on with your host, DJ Olojo. The B in bow tie round stands for my best advice for somebody facing foreclosure. The O stands for one thing I'm grateful for. And the W stands for my wildest or most interesting foreclosure related story. My best advice for you, if you are facing foreclosure in 2025, is to take decisive action. Is to not let the bank win. Is for you to do what you need to do to get to the other side of your foreclosure situation. That's the best advice I got for you. I'm not changing it. That is what I got for you in 2025. The one thing I'm grateful for, I am going to take liberty, since this is my podcast, and give you two things I'm grateful for. One, I'm grateful for waking up this morning and being in my right mind. Recently had a loss in the family. And so I'm reminded that every day is a blessing from God. And so if you woke up this morning, you should be happy. You should be grateful. You should be thankful. And don't ever take it for granted because when you don't wake up, then you know things have changed. And so, hey, I am so grateful I woke up this morning. The next thing I'm grateful for is I'm grateful for the snow that we had in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a Detroit kid, so I grew up with snow. I grew up making snowman, playing in the snow, having to shovel the snow, having to start the car to melt the ice and then scrape the ice off the windows. I grew up that way. And so it's not strange or odd to me to see that. However, my kids were born in Georgia. And so they're not used to that. They've been in snow, but they don't get to play in it like we used to when we were kids. And so we had this great snow day in Atlanta and y'all, they had a ball. They were sledding and making snowmen and just having a good old time. And so it was really fun to see and they had a great time with it. So I'm grateful for experiences like that just remind me of the nostalgia and the youth I had through my kids. The wildest or most interesting foreclosure related story today comes from a file that we are working in a state. And this is why I'm telling you folks on the line not to wait, not to delay, not to stop, not to push the brakes, to make sure that you are doing what you need to do to get out of foreclosure. We recently had a foreclosure sale on a property and the lender took the property back. Now, the crazy part is that this was a second mortgage. And so the first mortgage is still active on the property and the homeowner is still living there. But the owner believes that they still own the property. Yes, I said the owner believes they still own the property, although the property went to foreclosure sale. The homeowner believes that since it was the second mortgage that went to foreclosure sale, they still own the property. Unfortunately, they are mistaken. They are incorrect. And in that scenario, that homeowner is going to be evicted, almost as if they were a tenant from the property. And the owner of the property, which is the person who has that second mortgage or the company that has that second mortgage, is now going to sell the house on the open market. And so I tell you these stories not to scare you. I tell you these stories to educate you and inform you, to let you know that some of the misconceptions that you all have out there about what happens in foreclosure may be wrong. And you want to make sure you're getting good advice from a good source, a credible resource, and you want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to get out of foreclosure. The goal for us here is to help 1 million homeowners successfully navigate foreclosure. If you're one of them, let us know. Shoot us a comment at help@theforeclosurefix.com, or leave us a review or something and let us know that we're helping you. We are here for you. And as always, I appreciate you all listening. I appreciate you all being part of the Foreclosure Fix family. And I want to see you make 2025 your best year yet. I am rooting for you. I'm praying for you. And until next month, I will see you soon. God bless you. The views and opinions on this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice. If you have a specific legal question, we highly recommend you contact a qualified legal professional.